Everybody, it is Mr. Ensminger. It is a Friday when you're viewing this. I have a personal day today, so apologize about missing you guys. This is going to be a quick little program on showing you some more about scroll bars. We're also going to incorporate graphics because who doesn't like graphics? This will be relatively short, and for whatever time you have afterwards, for you guys who are live and in person, you can work on your asynchronous stuff this week. You have your graded programs to do, so be sure to get those done by either Friday, aka tonight, or by Sunday for the third program. If for whatever reason you are done with all of those, fantastic, well done, very precocious. For those of you who are doing with everything, you can start thinking about your final project idea or just find something else to do. But I would imagine most of you probably have those graded programs to work on. So. This program is going to show you how to make, we'll call it a little Etch-a-Sketch. It's the old toy. It's kind of ubiquitous in pop culture. It's this big red thing with white dials. There's a knob for going up and down, and there's a knob for going left and right. You're going to draw using those knobs. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my form, and for the properties, as we typically do, I'll say etch a sketch, and I'm going to make the background color white because that's what it is in the real thing. Or maybe it's gray, but whatever, it shows up better on white. And then the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make my size something particular. I'm going to make my size particularly 800 by 800, a nice perfect square. Simply because I want to show you once again from the other day with the scroll bars, the little, not glitch, but whatever you want to call it, it's more so just something you have to deal with. So now we'll go to our toolbars, our toolbox. We're going to do a horizontal scroll bar first. I'm going to put the H scroll bar along the top, the whole way across. Kind of eyeball it all the way to the edge, something along those lines, and then go back to your toolbox, and you're going to make a V scroll bar. And then that is going to be along the left edge, something like this from top to bottom. And you see how in the top left corner, let me get rid of this so I have the arrow back. You see how in the top left corner there's this little divide, let's call it. I'm going to take my vertical and I'm going to put the vertical up a little bit. And when you do that, because you made the vertical second, the vertical is going to hide the horizontal. So that would make us not be able to use the horizontal left arrow. And so that's not really a great option. And if we put this one on top, like if we right click and go, bring to front, then we have the opposite problem. Now we can't use the vertical arrow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of meet in the middle. I'm going to put that one there and put this one here. So there's kind of like this little no man's land, let's call it, in the top left corner. And so now I have this. And to give it the authentic, let's call it, look of the Etch-a-Sketch, we can put a red border around this if we'd like. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my toolbox and I'm going to say make a label, which that probably seems odd, like why are we making a label? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the label, I'm going to go to the properties of the label. I'm going to completely delete the text. I don't want it. I want to turn the auto size to false and then make the background color red. Right? So you see what I've done here. What I've done is I've basically made a red rectangle. And what I'm going to do with that red rectangle is I'm going to put it along the top, something like this, which of course hides my scroll bar. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to right click and go send it back so that it's behind this. And then I'm going to take that label, I'm going to copy and paste it. And much like our racing program, I'm going to put it on the 4 sides, and each one is going to go on top of the scroll bar. So just keep sending them to back. Right click, send it back, and then for the other sides, we'll make them skinny and tall, something like this. And then I'll scoop that over there. And again, right click, send it back. And finally, copy and paste. And scoop that over here somewhere. And there we go. So yeah, obviously it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just playing around here. But now you have a nice red border around the white area. And you have your scroll bars, which are going to end up drawing what we're aiming for here. So next on the list, I'm going to double click and go into the code. So double click, go into form load. Once you're in form load, it's been a little bit since we've done graphics, so let me just give you a little bit of, remember this. First, let's put our header at the top, whenever, or period, your name. Down here in my global variable declaration section, I'm going to dim screen as graphics. You might remember that's what we're going to need to do for any kind of drawing. And then we're going to do a filled in shape. So if you remember, to do the outlines of shapes, we did pens, and to do the brushes, or to do the filled in, you do brushes. So I'm going to call this my brush. Hopefully you remember this a little bit from what we did recently with graphics, that little weak interlude. So we dim screens graphics, dim my brush as a solid brush, and then in form load, I've got screen equals me dot create graphics, and then my brush is a new solid brush with color dot black. So again, if in the Etch a Sketch you've got the background and the red border, and then it draws in black, which is what I represented here. I have said that my brush that I'm going to use is going to be black. Simple enough. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my design. I'm going to double click on my scroll bar, my horizontal, and really doesn't really matter because the code I'm about to do is going to be universal for both of these. I'm going to dim x as an integer, and I'm also going to dim y as an integer. Makes sense, right? Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to say, give me the value of each scroll bar and set it into that appropriate variable. So horizontal is going to go into the x variable, and y, the v scroll bar, is going to go into that y variable. Then what I'm going to do is draw with my brush an ellipse, which an ellipse is, it can be a circle if you have the same height and width. That's how I'm going to make my little black dots. So if I say screen.fill ellipse, it asks me for my brush. So that's my variable for brush. The rectangle, so you have the top left corner, the x and the y, and then the width and height. So depending on your thickness here, you could do, let's say, like 1010. So a pixel width and height of 10, which will make a circle with a diameter of 10. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those 5 lines I just did, copy, and I'm going back to my design, and I'm going to double click on vertical, and I'm going to paste into vertical because I want this to draw each time I move either scroll bar. So it's the same code, 2 different actions, but in the vertical, I still need to read what the horizontal is, and vice versa. In the horizontal, I need to read what the vertical is. So I need to do the same code for both. So what this gives me, if I run this super simple little program, I have this, and then if I start scrolling, you don't see anything yet, but watch this. Scroll down here. Hey, look at that. Well, it's starting to draw, but there's obviously something big we neglected here. So remember at the very beginning how I made my size, my form 800? We never changed the size of the scroll bars. So it's drawing up here. If you remember the default value of the scroll bar, default minimum maximum is 100. It's drawing this within 100 pixels of the top left corner. So clearly, like, we're never going to get down here. That's why we couldn't see it at first, because it was being hidden by all this stuff up top. So let me go back to my design. So this is one issue that needs fixed. I need to change the minimums and maximums. Let's start with the maximum. So, the maximum, if I go to 800 for the horizontal and then go to 800 for the vertical, try and draw that, see how that looks. Start scrolling around here. Now again, because this one starts up top, I can't really see anything because I started at 0 and it's probably hidden by my little red. Oh, there we go. Start scrolling this up and down. See, when we move it fast, it even has a little bit of a refresh issue where it sort of gives you that effect of an Etch-a-Sketch where it's like not a perfect line, but it's sort of, like that. See how if I move it really quickly, it's more like dots, that's what it is. I mean, you are drawing dots. So, as far as the minimums and maximums go, you can go off the screen. So, how to fix that would be adjusting the minimum so it doesn't go onto there. And then over here, same kind of thing. Now, is that worth really adjusting so much for? I mean, not really, but, this is, again, just something I have to account for. That's why I wanted to make sure I do this program. It's just a cute little program. It's nothing really spectacular. But what you have to remember is that your minimums and maximums do start at 0 to 100. So if you do need to do something different with them, make sure to set that. So, okay, like I said, a quick little program today. The rest of the time is yours to work on your graded programs or something to yourself. If you have any questions, let me know. I will see you guys next week. Take care.